Hey everyone, it's Julian from With Bravado, and you're watching 5 Questions, the show where I ask local bands and musicians 5 questions, and then we talk about stuff. My hair is longer than your hair.
But if you take the thickness of my hair, like the width of my hair is probably
Oh,
longer
hey,
than my-
welcome back. It's been a while since we've filmed an episode, so it's good to have you back. I'm joined today by Joseph of Cheshire. We were just discussing some things. Thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it's already been stressful because of things, but we're going to talk about the 5 questions. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Question number 1. My hair is better. Question number 1 is that top things you've seen bands do right.
I'd say, man, one of the coolest things that I've noticed about specifically some bands here in the Memphis scene is like the communication and connection with their audience or their fan base.
Okay. You're talking about like digitally, like through social media, or like at their performance?
Both. Okay. I think both are like really important. Maybe equally important. I don't know what's like on the hierarchy, but like
yeah. I think everyone's still trying to figure that out. You know,
that's fair. But like the connection with the people there at the show, you know, like especially in transitions and everything, like being able to like talk to people. I know. Working with Sleeping Season, CJ has talked a lot about that, and like he just likes to talk to people in between, like so it's not just some guy tuning a guitar saying song's coming up, but instead it's like you talk to the people, they feel included. It's not like they're watching a TV. It's not like they're watching a video of the band performing. It's like we're a part of this.
Well, and so many times, like I've seen bands play, and it's like the band would be doing the same thing if I were there or if I wasn't there. And like I like it when a band will like take time to talk to me, Yeah. But like not like sometimes that goes too far. That can go way too far. Yeah. But like there's a sweet spot there where you're like talking to the audience, and then it's like, okay, next song. It doesn't turn into like, did I ever tell you about the time? 4 years, it can get kind of bad. Anything else you've seen bands do really right?
Well, also just a quick touch on like a thing we'll say with Bravado that you guys do phenomenally is connecting with people outside of shows. That like I know, even with me personally, but I know like you connect with like everybody.
Yeah.
On Snapchat you're like replying to snapping people back and everything, talking to people online, like shouting out to people all the time.
Right, so yeah. And when you've got better hair than people you're interviewing, it's important to make sure that you but you're right. Yeah, like people, it's important to follow it's important to follow up though, right? After you play a show, I've always believed that it's like important to like make sure that you reach out again. Like it's not like we played a show, radio silence. It's like you make sure that like thanks for coming. You could have been watching Netflix. You could have been doing anything in the whole world, but you came and saw us, and that meant a lot to me. Any advice to people who are not good at social media but definitely need to be doing it?
Find somebody in the band that is. Or your social media presence doesn't need to be the same as every other band. Like,
no, it can't be because you're a different person.
Exactly. Like not everybody's gonna be like all over Snapchat or whatever, being like, you guys, hi, you guys are great. Like my name's this. I'm super cool. But we actually in Cheshire, our social media presence is like more strange. We leave a lot of gray area. And we like to, a thing we really like to do is like put little encrypted things in our posts. Okay. Like
little things to discover or whatever.
Yeah, that like some things that people it'll be more plain later on. Like when we released a single on May 1st, there was a lot of like random mentions of the digits of 5 and 1 because May 1st. Okay. So we do stuff like that.
That's interesting. So you've got like this lore that you're working from. That's neat.
Yeah. So we like to do things like that, and there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of different levels of complication that we put into things. Like there are some I don't think anybody's really figured any out. It's not like we have a huge fan base yet or anything. There's like tons of people trying to figure out.
Right. Like, the code crackers aren't like double down on you guys quite yet.
But I'm excited for someday seeing people trying to decipher some of the things that we've written, because there's a lot of things that like are encrypted that like, you know, I talk with the guys or whatever, you know, Clay or somebody will be like, that's what that is, and I'm like, oh, and like we're figuring things out.
That stuff is cool, because like, you know, like the worst thing about a band can be like discovering them, listening to their music, and then feeling like, okay, now what? But like now you're giving people some like, you know, there's some depth to this. You can kind of interact with this in a way that's different. I hadn't thought of that, and definitely won't be stealing it in the future. Okay.
That'd be absurd. It's really not your thing.
Right.
It's more of a long hair guy thing.
Moving on. Question number 2. Top things you've seen bands do that could use improvement. This is where, like, we've seen a million bands, but like there are things that like bands could do to tighten it up.
All right. I'm gonna go a little bit off stage again and say one of the things that like really sometimes what we call networking really works against your product. And it depends how you do it. Like in the music business, we all know people that like, you know, on social media they'll go and they'll follow people or like comment on something that's just like, and the comment is always like, super sick, man, you should check out my band.
Right.
You know, and it's like the only thing they care about is like, hey, you're important, so check out my band. You know, and that's the only message they push is like, yeah, I have a band. They go to shows, talk to the people after the shows, and they're like, I loved your set, you should check out my band too.
Yeah, you guys were sick, you know, in my band.
It's like, and it's like this whole, like the only thing that matters is like the views. It's like, and it takes away any words are fun. Authenticity. Yes. That word. It takes away any of that. Like if you tell somebody, you know, if somebody tells me like I really liked your show, I'm like, thank you. But then they're like, you should check out my band. You know, we're on Spotify, we're on this. And I'm like, so you came here to promote, okay.
There is that sort of like annoying promoter, you know, where it's overreaching maybe. And like, I think that does work against you in a way. Anything else that could use improvement that you've seen?
I'd say there's the whole thing of like, we're so scared of selling out, or like we're in between this like, did they sell out, did they not? But also with that whole thing of trying not to sell out, I think a lot of people lose their exploration, their creativity. Like, you know, when you listen to a band and, you know, you got your album and you listen to track 1 and you're like, oh, cool. And then you listen to track 5 and you're like, that's cool. I mean, same thing kind of, but, you know, I like their sound. Listen to track 6, 7, 8, 9. It's like they're all kind of the same sound. It's like, this is a good album.
It's the same experience over and over.
But then it's like, okay, so it's a good album, you know, it sounds good. Next album, they sound the same. You know, it's like, okay, we like your sound, but there's only so many ways that you can play the same chords. You know, it's like a little venturing, and I know people get weird in the area of like bands changing their sound.
Right.
Which I think is ultimately up to the band. Like,
yeah, I'm completely, you know, like if a band wants to try something, I'm willing to try with them. But like, also a band needs to know why people fell in love with them to begin with. So there's respect for the audience there. So like, there needs to be this like, you can't like try something radically different and then be like, why is my core audience disappearing? You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not gonna switch to EDM and be like, what happened? Like that'd be dumb.
Yeah.
I think, especially in the like more local scene, I think we see a lot of the same sounds happening. And especially now when like you are competing with tens of millions of people at all times as a musician, like, and so many bands that want to make it, so many bands that are going for that sound. It's like, what sets you apart? You know.
Okay, question number 3. What's your songwriting process look like? Because you know, you sing, but you also drum, so I don't know how those flirt back and forth at each other.
I flirt with myself a lot.
That's good. That's good. It's a skill.
Some people call it concerning, a condition. But so so our songwriting process, I guess, I don't know. I think every band kind of finds their own.
Mm-hmm.
But ours is, I may be the front man, but like the musical mastermind is definitely Clay, like the guitarist of our band. He writes pretty much all the instrumental stuff. So the way a lot of our music gets written, you know, some songs get written differently. We just kind of go with it, you know, and write stuff, and it just works for us. But like, I'd say most of the time, Clay has written some just like instrumental stuff that is going to be a song. You know, he plays guitar, like programs drums and everything, and just kind of makes a musical song. And then
those are my favorite kinds.
Yeah, the ones that are musical.
Yeah,
yeah, that's my favorite part of music, is the musical side of it. But I like your mug. It's really cute.
Yeah, on
just like you.
On the show, I try to make sure that I'm manly.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So do the vocals come in last then? Generally.
Again, it's one of those things that depend, but like definitely after music, yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't just like sit there and say, here's a melody that I'm singing, you should write a song to it. Instead, Clay has like a bunch of music that he just makes. He just cranks this stuff out like crazy.
Okay.
And I'll go into those folders, and just like listen to his stuff. And I'm kind of I don't know, I sound kind of like a hippie, with the hair and everything, which is much better than yours. But like,
I don't get it. But yeah, keep going.
Okay, but I listen to the music, and I listen for like what the instruments are saying. Like I listen for what the music is like speaking, because I believe music is like a language.
I actually said the same thing today. I was talking to Zoe of Jadewick, and I was like, that was exactly the words I used. Keep going.
That's awesome. So,
awesome.
In one accord, connected by hair. But yeah, music is just a language, and even instrumental music, like we speak through our instrument.
Mm-hmm.
You know, drums, I can understand that language. I can feel emotion through it. And yeah, so Clay writes things, and there have been times like he doesn't have what the song is about. He doesn't have a real direction. He's just writing something out of something he feels.
Yeah, and that can be the most genuine sounding music.
Yeah, and so I'll go in and I'll listen, and I'll just take time and sit there, listen through the track, and try to interpret what is the emotion behind this, what is the feelings, what is the thought process, like where is this music coming from?
Yeah.
And I'll find that, and I'll, you know, then when I get that, I'll put words to it, and I'll try to like personify those things almost, you know, I try to put those into words. So
like the song is alive, like you're just sort of building onto it. Yeah,
so and most of the time they work really well together. So the songwriting is actually, Clay writes it pretty much all of it instrumentally. I'll give it like 50% of the lyrics, and Clay writes the other 50%, because he also just cranks out lyrics like crazy, which
that's sweet.
You know,
that's cool. That's collaborative and neat. Yeah. And it's also interesting that like the vocals kind of come after the music for you guys, because like in with Bravado it's the same way as well.
Okay.
In Sleeping Seasons, I think the vocal melody and the guitars and stuff like that kind of happen close to the same time. Okay. Whereas like in with Bravado, like those could be weeks apart. You know.
Yeah, for us it's like it's a while apart. It's just like going through the folder, finding this stuff. And actually our process now, I guess we'll put a plug, I guess we haven't really said anything to the public yet, but we have a new bassist and everything, so that'd be Christian from Malformations is our new bass player.
Oh, he's good. Okay, that's cool. That's
cool.
Okay.
So, and there's no hard feelings between
Yeah.
John and anybody, like it was just a better move for everybody.
Cool. And actually that segues into our next question. Could we go ahead and move on to that next question?
Go for it.
Question 4, what are qualities you look for in a bandmate? And so you were just talking about that, so I thought, well, alright, so
okay.
what are qualities you look for in a bandmate? You found a new bassist.
Yeah. We usually look for long hair, a good smile.
Yeah.
You know, just really cutting eyes.
Absolutely.
But also like just somebody who's like really serious, like somebody who knows their stuff.
Okay.
Like somebody we don't have to look after. Because I've been in band situations where I have to like check in on people to make sure like, hey, you need to have this learned by this time. Right. But somebody who's going to be responsible, who actually cares about it. You know? Like I would take I would take somebody who is who's really serious about it with less skill. Then I would take somebody who's very skilled but is like, you know, kind of thinks they're above it or doesn't put as much into it.
No, I'm the same way that like the skill can improve.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
skill will get better if your head is in the right spot. You can
Mm-hmm.
be a C-level guitar player and put a really good record out. If you're an A-level guitar player and your heart isn't in it, you know, you may be a great guitar player all day long and never release a record.
Yeah, exactly. So having people that are like responsible on their own that I can trust, and it's in Cheshire, it's like that is just, it's clicked. It's
That's
wonderful.
So cool. Well, and it's evident too because you guys are good. You guys are locked in.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I never have to check on people. Like everybody's always doing something for the band. You know, it's like nobody has to say anything, but like, you know, Clay and Joel live at the same place now, so like they're tightening things up, getting stuff cranked out. You know, Clay's in there like writing other stuff and mixing our EP and everything, and I'm sitting there lining up vocals, writing new lyrics and writing new drafts for songs. Because sometimes I'll write lyrics and put them up and be like, hey, here's a song idea, you know, so Clay will be able to like go in and like make music to it. So sometimes it goes the other way. But
and how many people are from Visible Music College in town? How many people are from that college?
how many people are from that? Like in our band?
In your band, sorry, yeah.
Okay, all of us.
Okay.
Except for now that Christian's in the band, he isn't. He actually, I think auditioned. I think he got accepted but didn't end up going. So kind of.
Okay, so he could have been.
Yeah,
a
but
college student.
Yeah, John did I don't know how many years. I was in it. Clay and Joel graduated from it. So
okay, so I was like, you know,
very visible.
When we see you guys, I mean, it's like these guys are really good. They might have even gone to music college.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Some of us even completed it.
Yeah.
Half of us.
Half. See, look, 50% rounds up to a whole number, right? A whole.
Exactly,
right?
and you know you need the edginess of a dropout. You know, to front a band. So.
I like that. Yeah, it's very niche.
So I'm drinking with marshmallows in my drink, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph has discovered caffeine with marshmallows now. It's pretty exciting.
Oh yeah.
My mug is better. Okay, so last question. Question 5. Advice for up and coming musicians. When I look at this question, I'm like, I know that I don't know everything, but like at the same time, I've made enough mistakes to reflect, back to like people who are coming.
Like your hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a horrible mistake.
Should have stuck with the mullet.
Yeah. The mullet is there's a comb over that I won't show on camera, but so yeah. But what are advice what might be advice you have for up and coming musicians, new musicians, or at least just new bands?
I don't ever want to sound like a downer
when
it comes to this, but like I'm a person that's very serious about music. You know, I play lots of instruments. I'm sure, of course, there's people who play more, whatever. I play 5 instruments and I do like...
The kazoo doesn't count.
Okay, I play 4. No, kazoo would be 6. But, no, so I play multiple instruments and I do, like, we'll say like 100 different vocal types and whatnot. But none of that is just like, oh, I was born with that. Like, no, none of us are born with any of this, you know.
Yeah.
Some of us do have a little more musical incline nature in us.
Maybe there's a propensity for it, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that's just like gifting from God. Yeah. But everybody, regardless of gifting, has to work at it. And for me, it's like there are, I think we just talked about this, but there are like, I think of it as a competition between, you and 10 million other people doing the same thing. It's like, so when I'm playing drums or I'm doing vocals or whatnot, I'm like, you want to stand out, but it's like there are so many people, how can you ever stand out from an ocean of people?
Right. You feel like a drop,
Yeah, and it's like part of that, is networking, part of it's luck, part of it's just provision, and it's like...
being the right place, right time, being prepared,
So that's a lot of it, but also a lot of it is... character and your work ethic, really, because there's so many musicians that I see, or put quotations around musicians, that's like people that are like, I want to pursue music,
Well, but all they do is own a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
get
like
it.
they just do the same things over and over. They don't get uncomfortable playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge thing. I guess I'll segue into variety. I think is a huge thing. Vocally, you know, Cheshire, I'm doing all the screaming stuff.
Cheshire's an acoustic band.
Yeah, and I yell over the ukulele, and the kazoo.
Very heavy metal.
Yes, intense. But so I do all this screaming stuff, but people don't know that my background is in classical singing and opera and in jazz and everything. So like that's where I started vocally, you know, just in like high school choir.
A significant distance away from like metal screaming and stuff like
that.
Oh
yeah. But all these things, you know, I wanted variety because I just genuinely love almost every style of music, and I want to be able to do everything. But the same with every instrument.
Yeah.
And specifically for vocalists, let me just take a moment. Vocalists, metal vocalists, like emphasis on metal vocalists. A lot of metal vocalists have this idea that like, well, you know, we don't really need to practice like the musicians do. You know, it's just it's just my voice. I can do what I can do. But I'm like,
sounds right.
That is such crap.
No,
that is such crap.
It's terrible. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like especially a metal vocalist, you know, people they're just like, yeah, I just scream and yell. It's like that's my one thing. It's like, all right, but it's like first off, are you doing the correct thing? Like I've spent years into practicing form and technique, and that's why I can do all these things live as well.
Yeah.
And I don't ever hurt my voice.
Right. And like open disclosure, like Joseph sounds like a monster when he's screaming, but like I can tell that he
hopefully good monster.
Right, no, it's good.
Okay.
But like I can tell that you can do this for a while and that you're comfortable doing it. Whereas like I've seen bands where like their screamer is murdering himself.
Yeah.
You know, and so like this is not the case for Cheshire. You have studied how to scream and like make it sound intense, and maintain it. Like you could go on the road with this.
I appreciate that. We plan to. You know, we really hope to. But like being able to, you know, track stuff, you know, be tracking for like 3 hours or so and not shred my voice at all is like, you know, it takes a lot of practice and training. So as a metal vocalist, it's like I see so many other metal vocalists that just like they think this is it, I can scream, so that's the end of it. But it's like there are so many other styles. That's why everything Cheshire does, every song we get done with, there's at least one new type of screaming in each song.
Okay.
And like since our single, it's like my screams have just dramatically improved and changed. So it's
just even just since then.
Yeah, since then, and so this EP is like heavy, like baller heavy.
I'm really looking forward to this. We'll definitely be linking stuff to Cheshire. So.
But it's one of those things that like as a vocalist you need to expand your horizons. Just like somebody playing drums, that's like a drummer just being like, yeah, I know this really cool beat, and you're like, cool. So can you track stuff for this song? And they're like, and they try to track that one beat. It's like, well, that doesn't fit. That's a different time signature. Can we? Let's track something for this. You're like, well, I only know this one thing.
But I know this.
Yeah, you know? But it's like this, you know, this blast beat. But this would sound better in a halftime. You know, we really want this to be big and open and not like a blast beat. And they're like, but I can play blast beats.
Right.
And you're like, but that's the same thing with vocalists, you know? Like, let's say you get a mid-fry scream, and it's like, that's all they've got.
Mm-hmm.
The music all sounds the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've heard some great bands that I cannot listen to because the vocalist is the same. I won't drop any names because that'd be terrible.
Yeah,
but it's like, guys, practice your craft. Like, that's your instrument. Mm-hmm. You need to practice it. So.
Yeah, I get that. And like, I've been guilty at times of being like, well, I'm not the greatest singer, so it's just going to kind of be whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, but like, fact is you can get better. You know, you can get better at what you're doing. And like, anytime I put like effort into something, like it seems like you do see the growth, even if like, you know, I'll never be a Dave Grohl. You know, I'll never be the guy from Shinedown. You know, I'll never be like that. But like, I can continue to grow in my craft. And communicate emotion more clearly with more resources or whatever.
Yeah, because like vocals. When I started vocals, freshman year of high school, So like when I was like 13 or 14 is the first time I ever sang, because I never sang before that. I was embarrassed of my voice. But I tried it out for some reason and I loved it. So I dove in, but I started with like maybe an octave, like a few notes over an octave.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like after, putting in years of like really hard work, I dove into this. Like my peak is just over 4 octaves now. So it's like, there's like, it's not just one of those things, it's my voice.
That's like 9 whole notes.
Yeah, it's
4 octaves.
It's closer to 6, but I just like that number. But it's like, that it's like quadrupling my range is like, that's a huge thing.
And if you had just stayed as good as you were, and it's possible that you could have made it then. It's just possible that you could have been a 1 octave singer who did make it, but like now it seems like your options are just...
Can't name drop.
but with bravado. Like it is, you could have been that good and made it because of your work ethic. But like if you do have more resources, there's just more to throw at the wall.
Yeah, I throw lots of stuff at walls.
Yeah, it's important.
It's part of metal.
Plastic things, glass things. Yeah. Stone. But any other advice for up and coming musicians? Like think about the kid who's like going out and getting a guitar. Like what do you tell that kid? I'm gonna be in a band. How do you help that kid?
Oh, they. Again, kind of.
It's so big, isn't it?
It is.
Like, it's such a big kind of.
It's like you could just lecture for days on. It's like. Hey kid, and I'm not a professional or anything. Like I'm not somebody who's just made it. Like I'm just starting the journey myself, and it's like, so to tell somebody like that's also wanting to start, it's like what my grand wisdom, like I'm not some old man with a white beard.
Yeah, well, neither one of us are gurus, It's just like, but there's like, you could make a list 1,000,000 things long.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the age, but
and the better hair, So, but yeah, like the things that come to my mind are things like know your audience, actually practice, do not play songs for people, perform them. Things like that.
That's good. Don't play but perform.
Yeah, like because nobody wants to come and see you stand and play your music except for your mother.
Yeah.
It's and like then develop something to make yourself a spectacle live. Light show, whatever the case might be.
And that's I guess kind of. Moving along with that idea, what I say to people that I've talked to a lot of people that like wanna be a songwriter, wanna be a musician, or I wanna do this, and music is like how serious are you about this? Because it's like with being a musician, you can either do it as just a part-time thing for fun, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's great.
Like that's super cool. Yeah, you could sound like with Bravado. But either that
and then have really great hair.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. But in this case, you lost both. But
I'll take a drink out of my manly cup here.
Amen. Or you could be a musician full time. Like that could be your thing.
Right.
But with that, people that are like, oh, I love music. You have to, understand and accept some things. Like you have to understand that like. This is a very, very tough business to make it. Like, don't get the idea.
And the idea of making
it
is different for people. Like, is it breaking even on tour? Is it being able to like what does make it mean? And that's gonna vary from band to band.
Exactly, and also moving a lot. You can't. Well, I guess you can do a lot of things nowadays, can't you?
I can do all of the things.
Through Christ who gives me strength. But amen. Can I quote the Bible in this? Yes, I can.
Yes.
Good, thank you. But yeah, it's like, how serious are you? Because like you have to give up a lot. Like realize that this is something that's going to take a lot of your time. I heard somebody shared something that was about like doing what you love and everything, and saying, well, if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life. And it's like a reaction to it's like. That is the opposite. If you do what you love and you're like doing the arts, you work every moment of your life.
Yeah, it's like there isn't downtime.
Yeah, because when you're not actively practicing for doing it, and when you're not actually doing it, you're thinking of different ways to do it. You're listening to other people do it and like thinking of cool things that they're doing, how you can implement that style. Like it's always a constant growing and working in that your life revolves around it. So to fully do music, you have to give up a whole lot. And it's like that conversation which could go on forever, but for time's sake, we'll just say that. You have to sacrifice a lot for being a full-time musician. Whether
it's a lot of sacrifice to be a part-time musician.
That too.
It is a demanding craft. I wish we could talk forever. We can't. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you for coming by.
Absolutely, thank you.
Wow, that is a thing. But normally the way that we send you back to wherever you came from is we'll clap together and you will disappear. And still not super sure how this works. Are you ready for that?
I don't want to go back there.
Okay.
So.
Just imagine in your mind someplace you want to go.
Amen.
All right. Okay. Ready? 2, 3. Alright, it was a pretty good episode. We didn't quite settle the issue that was the biggest and most important issue. I've got better hair.
You're wrong!
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, do the like, share, and subscribe thing. It would really help me out, and it's going to help out the bands and musicians that we have on the show. Their information's in the description. I look forward to making another episode as soon as possible, but in the meantime, support your local music community, and I'll see you next time.